around here, and we could touch upon many, many different subjects. Let's talk about education in America, and the question that I have, is there room for God in our public school system?
Well, I think that anytime you talk about the history of humankind or the history of the nation, God talk has played a very important role. The danger is that you impose any particular kind of God talk on other people. That this nation consists of a whole lot of different kind of people. You got Buddhists, you got Hindus, you got Jews, you got Catholics, you got Lutherans, and so forth and so on.
What about a moment of silence, of prayer, which is silence, and each one to pray to their own God?
Moment of silence is fine with me, though, as long as you're not imposing any God talk. I don't want Christians imposing God talk on Jewish brothers and sisters. I don't want Jewish brothers and sisters imposing God talk on Muslim brothers and sisters, and so forth. Moment of silence is fine. But at the same time, I think we do have to recognize that there is a difference between what it means to be a citizen in which we respect each other's religious views and what it means to be a private person in which we can pursue our own freedom of worship.
And the education system within itself, do you think black people in particular are being shortchanged within the education public school system?
Oh, no doubt about that. No doubt. These dilapidated schools in these chocolate cities is a disgrace in this nation.
So you and Michael Eric Dyson both teach at Ivy League schools, correct? Okay, and you're both African Americans, very pro African American. Why not teach it at Howard or Hampton or CUNY, a school where you're going to reach the majority of young people who look like you and I?
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, well, you know what, first of all,
you've been asked that once or twice, haven't you?
Yeah, I do believe so. The thing is, first of all, I've never been invited by Howard or any of those schools you mentioned to teach there, and only recent to lecture there. So number one, if they read the same newspapers other people do, and they read my books and see me on
What's
TV,
your number?
brother, and black people watch this TV disproportionately to anybody else, so I know they seen me on TV. So the thing
I know
is,
you saw me on the video.
You know what I'm saying?
I know you heard me on the radio.
So the thing is that I ain't got that kind of invitation. And look, let me not be disingenuous. They may think, oh, because of a certain kind of visibility and so on, that they can never afford me. But you got to holler at me, talk to me. People are always willing to make deals, so to speak, to accommodate larger interests. But let me say this: I got a whole lot of black people at Penn. I reach a whole lot of black people when I go around the nation and the country. This is only one spot, because if I'm at Howard, why don't you ask, well, why are you at Howard? Why aren't you at Cheney State? Oh, but you're at Cheney State. How can you be at Morehouse? There are always reasons why you could be one place as opposed to another, and they could all be black schools. So my point is that it's important for us to see that if you're at a so-called predominantly white school, it's important not only to be there for black students. I want to influence white students. I want to influence Italians, Poles, Jews.
It's a question.
I want to influence international
I'm
students.
not degrading the man for being there. Ask the question.
I'm just trying to answer.
And he answered it.
You know what I'm
Professors
saying?
like West and Dyson should be in white America talking, because I think they listen.
They're the ones that need the lesson. I agree.
Okay.
But let him
and
do
they will dispel.
Some of these questions are softballs, people. They're just tossed
It's a fat
up.
pitch over the plate, and I'm trying to knock it out the park.
And you served it up.
Dr. West, I saw you in The Matrix, and I'm sitting there going, and I saw you in Matrix 2, and then I saw you in The Revolution, and you did seem very doctorial, if that's a word. And, I wonder how that whole thing, how'd you end up in The Matrix?
I got a
And did you take the
call
pill?
from Brother Larry and Brother Andy Wachowski. Said my writings have been influential in the writing of the first Matrix, and that they had written this role, Counselor West, for me to fly down to Australia to play the role. I said, that's beautiful. I said, I only got one question. Does the role have dignity? I can't play a role that has no dignity. If we wouldn't give you a role that didn't have dignity, brother, I said, I'll be down there. Get me the ticket. I went down to Australia and had the time of my life with Brother Fishburne, Sister Jada, and Brother Keanu Reeves.
Look at
we
you.
had the time of our
Hollywood.
lives.
Roy Jones.
Oh, Roy Jones, too. Yeah, and Brother Will, too, was there. There's something else.
Okay, all right. I just
Those
wanted to know
two
that.
brothers,
that was
those
something
they
burning.
really are geniuses, though, Larry and Andy.
Right.
Professor West, you have written a lot about blacks and Jews, and I wonder, where are we going in the future? I mean, on this program, if you did notice, I am a Jewish person, and Karen is black. So we sometimes schmooze about these things from time to time. What do you think we're going in the future as far as the black and Jewish community in America?
Well, I think it depends on how much vision and courage and sense of wisdom we have in both communities. That I think that on the one hand, you've got this incredible tradition of prophetic reflection and witness that comes out of the Jewish tradition that is actually a gift to the world. That's from Amos to Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. On the other hand, of course, you got black folk in America who are deeply influenced by that prophetic tradition, but went on to create a whole host of things like the blues and jazz and what have you, deep tragicomic sensibilities wedded to the prophetic. But in both communities, you have too many cowardly folk who are willing to fall into hatred and bigotry, and we don't have enough courageous folk who are willing to keep those prophetic energies alive. And to the degree to which in both communities that we have people who are committed to the prophetic, the self-criticism and the attempt to highlight the plight of.
I want a prediction from you. I don't want a political answer. I mean,
it's hard to predict.
I recognize when
it's hard to predict, though, brother. It really, I think it's always open-ended.
Your gut feeling. You think we'll make
my gut feeling is that I have confidence in the prophetic elements of both communities.
I've been trying to get Shea to understand that he's not white, and maybe that would help bridge the gap. When Jews stop thinking themselves as white Americans, maybe it would help to bring us together a little bit more, because white America doesn't necessarily look at the Jewish community as being white.
Whoa.
Would you agree with that?
Well, see, the problem in America is often either or. So if the brother's not white and he's not black, then he just falls betwixt and between. If he's on the Jim Crow train, what does he do? Does he go to the front or does he go to the back? America imposes such a narrow set of options, so that what happens is, from the black point of view, if he goes to the front of the train, he's still got white skin privilege, but he's going to the front of the train with the goyim, see? So that the anti-Semitic sensibilities of the white folk in the front of the train is still over against him.
But does white America view Jewish America as white? That's the question that I have.
But those Jews of European descent are certainly have white skin privilege. There's no doubt about that.
The Timothy McVeighs and those folks that live in North and South Dakota, in Minnesota, the people who view themselves as Americans.
Oh no, but those folk
white
are
America.
Wholesale xenophobes. They hate Jews. They hate black folk. They hate red folk. They hate gays. They hate lesbians. They hate
They hate themselves.
And
you talked just now, Tavis, about the left and the right. And as a black in America, I don't necessarily view myself on either side of the table. Is there such a thing as left and right in our community? And is this conservative wave that we see right now in the media?
On radio in particular.
Is it real? Is it genuine? Is it truth? As you talked about too.
Well, I think there are absolutely ideological differences.
That's Michael, first of all, yeah.
Mike Dyson. The class differences, gender difference, sexual orientation differences. So yeah, it's not that black people are exempt from those kind of ideological divisions, although the way in which those divisions manifest themselves in black skin and in black communities may be different. So I don't think that black people, we could be culturally conservative with a Ten Commandments religious vision and still be politically progressive. So that throws a kind of monkey wrench into the whole thing, because ideology is not purely driven by political consideration. It's also fed and nurtured by one's own connections to communities of struggle. But part of this relates when you were talking earlier about what whiteness is. I mean, one of the things about white ethnicity, Italians, Jews, Poles, and so on, in the crucible of race are remade as white in America. America has a peculiar attraction to trying to pulverize differences, break them down. And I think that those different faces of ethnicity in America signify as white. So there are books that have come out in the last 10 years by David Roediger, Theodore Allen, Mab Segrist, and so on, who talk about how the Irish became white and now how Jews have become white. So I think that similarly in African American communities, we can't think about the way in which blackness is a symbol in our own community without talking about how there have been some blacks who are on the right, some on the left. We see now the celebration in the Bush administration of right-wing, right-leaning brothers and sisters who are elevated as the true and authentic voice of black America, while the progressive vision is all but left out.
Isn't that dangerous, though, for all blacks to associate themselves with the left wing? For Al Gore to be able to have the confidence to come into Harlem and say, 90% of black people supported me, therefore I can bestow these votes onto Howard Dean. Isn't there a danger in that?
There is danger. Al Gore's tripping. Al Gore's tripping, number one. Number two, I don't think black folk vote for somebody just because somebody said it. Number three, the bottom line is that we have to assess people for how they stand on our particular issues, and we'll see what's going to happen.